Two-thirds of all publicly traded companies rely on a healthy ocean for their operations. So we know that, almost $8.4 trillion worth of investment in the world is reliant on a healthy ocean. So the banking and insurance sectors, basically financial institutions, really sort of need to understand the importance of a healthy ocean, given the reliance on the global economy.
Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of the Blue Pioneers podcast. Today I'm here with Chip Cunliffe, who's one of the founders of the Ocean Risk and Resilience Action Alliance, or ORRAA. Actually, if you could tell us, what is ORRAA and what do we mean by risk and resilience in the ocean space?
Look, ORRAA is a multi-stakeholder collaboration linking international finance, insurance, governments, non-profits, and indeed, I suppose most importantly, stakeholders from the global south to pioneer finance products that help to incentivize investment into coastal and ocean nature-based solutions. So we have a mission by 2030 to activate at least $500 million of investment into the space. And at the same time, helping build the resilience of 250 million climate vulnerable coastal people. Because we're all very aware of the fact that those people who will be most impacted by the impacts of climate change and ocean risk will be those in the global south. In terms of ocean risk, well, ultimately from our perspective, and this is something that we brought into ORRAA from the very beginning, was how the oceans are changing and what that means for the future risk landscape. We know that there are short-term impacts and risks that will emanate from the changing ocean. So ocean's warming, as we know. Therefore, we're seeing sea levels rise. With that, we'll see coastal erosion, inundation, impacts on coastal communities, and indeed biodiversity as well. And so what we're looking to do is through the development of these different insurance and finance products, is to build resilience for those coastal communities that are likely to be impacted most.
So when we talk about risk in the ocean, then are we talking about risk from a sort of more traditional infrastructure perspective in terms of sort of risk to cities, risk to people, or are we talking more about sort of risk to the ocean itself? Or is it a combination of all of those things?
It's a combination of all those things. So yes, the implications of an ocean, warming ocean, of course, is not just that, but also increased intensity of storms. And those storms will have impacts not only on those coastal cities, but also elsewhere as well. So we are looking at physical assets, and coastal flooding is one of the things that we are very much focused on through something called the Coastal Risk Index that we're building, which is integrating coastal ecosystems into risk models for the first time.
How does that sort of play into the world of the insurance companies and the banks, for example? Are there sort of easy parallels that we can latch on to make this relevant to things that they understand? Or are you having to really innovate from a financial perspective to make those links?
Well, look, I think what's important to note is that two-thirds of all publicly traded companies rely on a healthy ocean for their operations. So we know that, almost, I think it's $8.4 trillion worth of investment in the world is reliant on a healthy ocean. So the banking and insurance sectors, basically financial institutions, really sort of need to understand the importance of a healthy ocean, given the reliance on the global economy. How do we invest into a place that most people will either sort of really not really have an understanding of? It's out of sight, out of mind for many people. A lot of people sort of realize that, or have thought to date, it's really too big to fail. And yet the ocean itself is indeed is a solution to the impacts of climate change. And therefore we need to rethink the banking, and indeed the financial system needs to rethink its own ideas around how the ocean plays that part.
I mean, the opportunities for win-wins just feel like there are so many of them if we can get this right, as particularly in the coastal oceans. I think those links between nature, climate, people, and economy are just so strong in these systems. And one of the things I love about ORRAA is it seems to be, really putting that into action, like really bringing these stakeholders and these players together to try to address some of these challenges and opportunities. What are some of the sort of real life challenges of working with stakeholders that are like as disparate as local fishing communities and Deutsche Bank or sort of multinational insurance companies?
One of the interesting things here is around how these stakeholders do come together. They ordinarily speak a very different language to each other, and yet one of the things we do is develop these things called solution labs, where we identify a problem that one of our members, maybe not a problem, but it's a question they want answering. And we bring our members around a table to start asking or answering those questions and helping answer that question more specifically. And I think the importance of that radical collaboration is about identifying different ways in which we can answer those questions. From different perspectives, with different balance sheets, and with different focuses.
What is it that they're looking for in terms of returns? Is it financial returns, or are they primarily is it essentially philanthropy, or what do they get back for it?
So we have different, obviously different investors into ORRAA. So the governments are looking to see impact. They want to see number of hectares protected. They want to see how their money has been leveraged. Private investment, of course, a lot of it tends to be focused on that ROI, so the market rate return. But I think we're starting to see a change in emphasis around the requirement for impact, for positive impact on, as you say, people, ecosystems, and biodiversity. And those coastal communities.
I've just got three quick questions to end on. The first is, for you, what's the sea change that you're working towards?
I think the sea change that we're working towards is around scaling investment in the ocean space. So, yes, it's about it's scaling investment in the ocean space, but with impact at the local level.
So one of the key messages for us is that everybody is part of this. Everybody, as individuals and as organizations, we have an impact on the ocean and we are dependent on the ocean. What's something that everybody can do to help drive the change that we need to see?
I think that anything that we do on land will have an impact in the ocean. So and on the ocean, indeed, the feedback loops will come and bite us. So I think anything that anyone can do in terms of whether it be recycling or when it comes to the ocean itself, and maybe fisheries and food, is looking at the labels of where your fish has come from, and make sure that it's sustainably caught. We know that IUU fishing is illegal, unreported, and regulated fishing is a massive implications on the fishing industry, but also on the health of the ocean as well. So I think maybe that may be my number one option.
What do you see in the work that you do that gives you hope that we're on a good trajectory?
I think the number of organizations that have become or are now part of ORRAA, we started not quite 5 years ago. We've deployed $22.5 million into the space. We have over 90 members now across stakeholders and governments and private sector and others. That's growing. I think that if that continues to grow, then we are, we're certainly turning the tide. But there's a long way to go.
I have to just reiterate it. Some of the most inspiring moments that I've had at some of the big meetings have been seeing the work that you do firsthand. So thank you for that, and good luck with it all, and thank you for joining today.
And good luck to you.
Thank you.
Well, see you on return.
Yeah, definitely.